think, unfortunately, like a lot of people are saying, hey, there's not going to be any more SaaS. There's not going to be any more apps. You're just going to, we're not going to have any more devices, etc. I've heard that recently. I disagree with that. And I think there's going to be more apps, more slop, more everything. I think we're going to see models continue to improve. And as they improve, there's going to be more adoption. So they're going to be more used. Therefore, there's going to be more AI slop writing on website. There's going to be more AI slop on platforms like TikTok. And so it's going to be the proliferation of AI slop.
Welcome back to The Retention Effect. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Jordan Mederick, founder of Ravato, and I've got a very special guest. Today, I've got a friend and a client who's built an incredible machine, but there's some bright sides to this, some dark sides to this, and some challenges in entrepreneurship that we're going to be exploring throughout this. So highly recommend. We know that vibe coding is exploding right now. We know that kicking off both MVPs, but products related to AI SaaS, it's very much on the rise. But to actually bring an AI SaaS product to the market is not only extremely competitive, but it's fraught with challenges that, especially in the technology space, requires significant amounts of nuance. I want to welcome John Renaud to the show here from Winston AI.
Thanks for having me, Jordan.
I'm so excited to talk about this. So Winston is an AI detection tool where people can come in to detect whether or not some kind of an output created was done via AI. And so the primary ICP of your audience is students to update some of their content before they submit it in for an assignment to find out whether or not it's going to be detected by other AI detectors. And then you also have teachers on the other side who are trying to detect for either plagiarism or whether a certain amount of content is AI driven. So you have your audience base is literally almost competing for the same output. Just a couple stats on this, because this kind of blew me away. So based on a couple different studies done, around 50 to 54% of college students say that AI on assignments or exams would consider that to be cheating. But they also found that 40% of students admitted to cheating with AI. So you are at the forefront of not necessarily developing the raw LLMs, but being able to detect them. So my first question is, what was the big reason why you came into this? What was the vision, the initial idea for why you built Winston AI?
Yeah, we started in late 2022, just before ChatGPT came out. OpenAI had just released a model called Da Vinci that was the first non-mediocre AI writing model. You know, back at that time, a bunch of companies were sprouting as, of course, just a wrapper of Da Vinci's model by OpenAI. You know, I think we know they are Copy AI and Jasper, etc. So we were dabbling with this and just being completely, you know, we knew this would become a humongous problem for a lot of people, primarily in academia. So we did see one tool that was at that time trained to detect GPT. So, and no other tool was at that time, of course, able to detect the newest model. And we knew that OpenAI was going to keep releasing better and better model. We saw that curve coming. So we set out to train our own model that would be a premium AI detector, an AI detector that would keep up with these new models. And of course, the GPT-2 detector at that time was free. So it was a little bit of a gamble for us to say, hey, we're going to, you know, take a technology and charge a premium price for it. And this promise is free on the internet, so to speak. We just put it out there. And we didn't know, we thought, of course, it would be a tool that would be exclusively used by teachers and academia, but it's so much wider than that. If I told you today that I knew it would be that wide, I would lie to you. I thought it was going to be exclusively teachers that would use this tool to catch their students using AI. But like you said, it's also students using it to check their own work before they submit it to see if they're going to get caught by Turnitin. It's publishers that are trying to see if their writers are using AI. It's writers that are trying to see if their publishers are going to catch them using AI. It's also a lot of people trying to see if, human resource cover letters and letter of intentions are written by AI. We have banks using and investment firms using our tools, trying to see if their analysis and thesis are generated by ChatGPT or an analyst. Oh, it's so much greater than what we initially thought.
Hey, are you offering subscriptions or high ticket payment plans in your business? Well, I know for a fact the number one problem that you're going to be facing is churn or retention overall. You and no one on your team wants to be dealing with this. It's difficult, it's time consuming, and to build these systems for high retention is extremely hard. That's why we exist here at Ravato. We're a fully done for you service where we install into your existing systems. You have no changes to your product, your price points, your internal teams. There's no new hires. And we literally go out and recover failed payments, renegotiate payment plans with your customers, and even deflect hard cancellary requests. We're entirely performance based. So we don't even have anything to sell you. You literally don't pay us a penny until after we've won back some of your at-risk customers. Want to invite you to a demo with us? Get information on the link down below. So I have to dive into the kind of the ethical question, whether this is a moral question or an ethical question. I think you are essentially, you're bringing a tool that really brings this issue to light, which is that students know when they cheat, they know it's cheating. Teachers know when students cheat that it's cheating, and that there's even some proliferation of brand new AI tools that people are cheating on interviews, and like they're trying to get a job and there will be a little
Yep.
screen up there that'll give them all the answers right there. So how do you, in this new age of AI especially, how do you wrestle with that concept of the how the ethics of even our society has changed with the proliferation of AIs? We've got so many people starting to use it, and it's almost redefined what ethics are in general, as like the entire landscape of the concept of quote unquote cheating or cutting corners or whatever. Do you think that that has just changed with all of these tools, and it's re-leveled what ethics even are? Or how do you think about that?
Glad you're the first person to ask me this question, and I think it's a super important question to ask. And when we talk about it internally at Winston, we have to focus on maintaining objectivity as much as possible and getting the assessments right. Because the main concern is usually if there's any bias, if there's any false positives, false negatives, etc. So what we try to do is really to put out the best technology and the best tool possible to get the assessment right. And then we just let you know, nature run its course with our
Yeah.
tool. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
And we've had elections in the US in 2024 and in Canada recently, and we have an AI deepfake detector, one of the most popular ones and one that's always updated with like newer models. We have the same issue with text or image. And of course, both sides were calling us because on one side, they're trying to say, hey, there's a fake crowd at this rally. And the other side's trying to say, hey, the other side's saying this. So in each cases, our assessment was right. And we're not
Mm.
taking any positions, whether it's for any parties or any direction, but we're just trying to get the information right. And we just recently launched a fact checker. And again, it's just what we focus on is pure objectivity. And half of the time it's leaning one side, half of the time it's leaning on the other.
Yeah, so that it's almost like back in the 90s or the early 2000s, early 2000s, it was Snopes. So that was like the great fact checker. And it's like, if you didn't know if something was real, you went to that site or similar sites. So this has essentially just re-leveled the playing field for objectivity and source of truth. Is that how you think about it?
Absolutely. I love Snopes and they use our tool and when they publish fact checking information and that included some of the information that was circulated, by the way, on both sides in the elections in Canada and in the US, they use their tool to, write their articles and fact check some elements that were circulating.
Yeah, it makes sense. I want to dive into a bit of your journey before we dive into like some of the challenges and whatnot. But what was like the earliest version of this? Did you actually vibe code this, or did you build it from scratch? You're kind of leveraging AI models, I'm assuming, to build an AI model that checks an AI model. So what was like the earliest version of this, and what was your strategy to launch this out to the market? What was your go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, we're two partners. My business partner, Thierry, is really extremely technical and he trained our first models. We generate a bunch of, outputs from popular LLMs and try to find bypassing techniques and whatnot. So we generate a huge data set. And in parallel, we generate and we gather a bunch of human vetted content. And it's deep learnings. We wish we knew exactly what it found. Is it the M dash? Is it that it says delve? When it believes, we suspect it's something like that, but we don't know exactly what it finds. It's being trained on tens of millions of pieces of text of all sorts. And of course, at the beginning, we were doing this very manually, and it was a little bit more. I wouldn't say it was vibe coded, but it was definitely a more of a manual process. But now we have APIs and we built an infrastructure to remain ahead of the new updates. Most recently, I think one of the bigger updates was the launch of GPT. So, of course, that model was a significant upgrade in terms of its ability to sound human. So we were able to within 12 hours have an updated version of our tool. That's our promise, right? There's a lot of free tools out there. Our promise to our customers who pay for our tool is that we're gonna be updated and we're gonna remain able to detect every model.
So you guys are obviously on a monthly recurring model. So you guys have plans of various sizes, both annual but monthly plans as well. There's a free plan all the way up to the $26 a month on an annualized basis. I'm curious your perspective on, as especially AI SaaS platforms continue to proliferate, and that it is becoming so much easier to build these platforms, albeit there's still a significant challenge to actually getting it right, which is what you talked about. So the quality of the product itself being directly, you're going to beat a free tool all day because you have the ability to invest in infrastructure and talent to actually get the product done right. And so I'm seeing, gosh, it really seems like a Pareto. It's an 80-20, that 80% of this stuff out there is just absolute junk. And it's like, or like I get excited. I see some social media posts. They're like, here's this new tool. I go to check it out. And they're like, well, things are shut down. And it's like, well, great. So 80% of the stuff being output is just it's just awful. But really 20% is raining right now. And a lot of that is due to having the liquidity, the funds to be able to charge for a premium product that actually gets it done right. How do you think about pricing, and what were some of the challenges, even as you guys have gone forward with monthly recurring revenue? Obviously, churn is a huge part. We talk about retention here a lot. So what were some of the pricing thoughts that you've kind of had over time, and what are some of the challenges as it relates to keeping customers paying for something when there are so many quote unquote free tools out on the market?
That's the challenge. So when we started the business and we trained our first model, the thinking, and which is still the thinking today, was that we need to have a model that is really working better than all the other businesses that are doing the same thing. And we wanted to be the one that is a little bit more expensive than the other options. We didn't want to be a tool that's, we're not free, but we're close to being free. Like we're $5, $7 a month, but we're not really having a good tool. We wanted to stay away from that, being one of the pack. So we wanted to just be, rise above the pack in terms of quality of our tool. Okay. So that was intentional. Our pricing is definitely a little bit more expensive than our peers, and that's intentional. And we pride ourselves on having a model that is always updated, like I just said, and extremely accurate. And we try to add features and build that model and the features like plagiarism, fact checking, other complementary tool to bring the most value. That's what we focus on. We don't have a sales team. We don't have like a B2B like an enterprise development team. We focus on having the best platform possible. And we, of course, have B2B clients that are self-serve and a lot of B2C clients. As you know, Jordan, it's tough to manage churn, when you're B2C SaaS. So that's an active battle that we have because there's a lot of seasonality in our business. So we do think about this a lot. We're trying to incentivize people to opt for an annual subscription because there's a very good possibility that they're not going to need our tool for 2-3 months a year. So I think the way we think about this is like we need to give at least a 33% discount for annual plans. And of course, working with a company like Revado, that's been really helpful for us.
As far as like your entrepreneurial journey, thank you for saying that, by the way. And we love having you on board. And there's as you're absolutely right. Any for anyone watching this, if you're going to decide to go build an AI SaaS, B2B versus B2C is a radically different churn profile. Radically. Most consumers are used to spending between, 5 10, maybe $12 a month. And every time, even Netflix, for example, they raise their rates by 10% or a couple bucks, whatever it is, the market explodes and everyone like cancels. And then they all quietly come back because they really want the product, right? But the B2C side, if you're dealing with consumers, you have to be prepared for higher levels of churn. They can still be recovered and won back, but it's a far more nuanced game where business people are used to spending, like they're used to having line items that
Mhm.
are going to help them to win in business. So, but as far as your entrepreneurial journey is concerned, obviously, building something that's so robust and so difficult, especially as it seems like there's new language models being produced once a month, or probably it's probably going to come down to weekly or daily. Staying on top of that, from your perspective, what is the biggest challenge that you feel like you've faced that has just the kind of thing that keeps you awake at night? And how have you been dealing with those to avoid sleepless nights or just the challenges that come along with entrepreneurship?
Well, I'll answer in two phases. I'll tell you what used to keep me up at night when we started the business and what's keeping me up at night now. When we started the business, we were staying up at night thinking about the day we would not be able to detect AI writing. Was it going to be GPT-5, GPT-4? That was keeping us up at night. And it's no longer keeping us up at night because AI is getting easier and easier to detect because most of the content being published online is already AI generated. So the newer models are basically trained on AI generated content. We call it like AI poisoning, basically. So we just need to update quickly, and it's just easy to detect always. And I think as long as we're working with transformers and LLMs, we're going to be able to detect it no problem. We could do, maybe when we have a completely different technology with true AGI, you know, I'll wake up in a bad mood. What's keeping us up at night now is definitely simply growing the business amidst a lot of competition, Google updates, just doing all sorts of roller coasters with our keywords, our business. We rely a lot on organic traffic for our business at scale. There's about several millions of queries on a daily basis for our keywords like AI detection, AI detector. So any update makes a significant difference. So that's one thing that's keeping us up at night. And of course, definitely churn. Churn's a challenge for a B2C business with us. We're trying to delight the customer, retain them. That's definitely something that's an active concern. So it's more an operational problem than an existential problem.
Sure. Yeah. And so if you're speaking to someone, say someone's watching this now and they maybe have done some SaaS in the past, or they're looking for like their next venture, they're considering AI SaaS, knowing what diving into the development of an AI driven or AI forward SaaS platform. What's the biggest piece, the 60 seconds of advice if you never got to speak to them again? And this had to be like the big crux of the lesson. What advice do you give them? Is it all the way down to hey, don't do it, it's a nightmare, all the way up to absolutely do it, but here's what you need to know first?
Absolutely do it. That's, of course. There's two pillars to focus on, Jordan. First one is getting people to your website, and second pillar is just to convert people. So any action that you do must belong to one of those pillars. So if you don't have sales, ask yourself, well, did anybody walk or enter my website? And if there's 1,000 people that, came to your website and you made zero sales, then you have a conversion problem. You need to, adjust your product, your pricing, or whatnot. So anything you do should belong to one of those pillars. And it's not really complicated. So I would say, yeah, you should do it. It's not very complicated in 2025 to do. And think about those two pillars.
When you guys are thinking about team, obviously you guys have same on our side. Like it used to be 10 years ago that the big brag point, or maybe 15 years ago, the big brag point was the size of your team. So the numbers of people on staff was the brag point. Then there was this precipitous drop where it became way less sexy to have big high head count. And now it's sexy to have a very small, lean, nimble team and start to even like outsource something. So how do you think about your internal, maybe if you can share what your internal team structure looks like at the scale of your business? Are you wanting to add more? How should companies, looking forward, think about headcount and team size and culture? What's your perspective, and how do you guys think about that internally?
Yeah, we manage millions of users with a skeleton team, and we do intend to continue expanding our team. But I find that expanding too quickly slows down more than speeds up. And we really, you're right, Jordan. It used to be that you would expand your team ahead of growth, thinking of projecting the next 12 months, 2 years, 5 years plan. And now it sounds ridiculous to do that. And I've done that in the past. And for now, the way we look at hiring and growing our team is we try to do as much as we can, each of us, with intention to be efficient and to avoid adding additional weight to the team. And the only time that we hire is when it's absolutely necessary and that we feel that it's going to quickly provide dividends and productivity.
Got it. Yeah. So looking forward to the general state of the AI universe as it is now. It's what is that? Moore's law that technology is going to double every 2 years. We're just going to see this rapid advancement. And as part of your guys' platform and product and efficacy of the outcomes, it requires staying super, super, super on top of these models and even being able to almost, I'm presuming, to try to even predict what's going to happen coming forward. So you guys are on the bleeding edge of these language models because you have to be. So if you were to make a prediction about where are we going to see AI go in perhaps the next year, where again, only because you guys are so deep into the weeds on how these things works and even how they go about building these, what's your prediction for where AI is going to be, either in language models or in productivity or in design, or obviously video? AI video has just exploded and become so much more realistic. There's that classic Will Smith eating spaghetti example that always just cracks me up, and how far that example has come over the years. So what's your prediction over the next year for AI?
I wish I could answer you with an explosive and something that would get like millions of views on reel, but I'm going to take a little bit of a contrarian answer here and give you a boring answer that I believe is true. I think, unfortunately, like a lot of people are saying, hey, there's not going to be any more SaaS, there's not going to be any more apps. You're just going to We're not going to have any more devices, etc. I've heard that recently. I disagree with that. And I think there's going to be more apps, more slop, more everything. I think we're going to see models continue to improve. And as they improve, there's going to be more adoption. So they're going to be more used. Therefore, there's going to be more AI slop writing on website. There's going to be more AI slop on platforms like TikTok. And so it's going to be the proliferation of AI slop. Unfortunately, there's a lot of businesses, I think good businesses actually, that are now selling AI slop as a service. And these businesses are doing extremely well. So I'm not surprised. So my prediction is the proliferation of AI slop at scale.
That's almost scary. So you're saying there's going to be more junk, maybe even in that 80-20 percentage, that things are just going to get worse before they get better? Or is there the nature of the best platforms, those who are actually doing it right in that 20%, are just going to squash the rest? It's almost like the classic, how many, remember Ask Jeeves, the search engine, then, Google and them were, and Yahoo and all these, and they're trying to steam forward for the best, but just the highest quality reigns supreme there. So I'm you know, I'm am concerned about the nature of slop. I love that word, AI slop, where it's just junk and it doesn't actually help people. They are not quality products. They're thrown together to try to make a quick buck, similar to like the crypto meme coins and whatnot, that it's just a cash grab leading to an ultimate rug pull. But you really think that things are going to get worse before they get better?
Yeah. And I just think we could say they're getting worse. They're getting, they're getting better at being sloppy, so to speak. Like they're getting better at mimicking human writing to someone who's reading. They're getting better at mimicking human content, whether it's like a Sora type videos. Of course, the next Sora, the next Google VO, they're all going to be so much better. So of course, now you're going to see Super Bowl ads and the NBA final ads that was generated on Google VO3. When I say the proliferation of AI slop or AI generated content, that's what I mean. I mean, you're going to see, of course, you're going to be watching a football game and we'll see what happens at Super Bowl, but I'm sure there's going to be several ads that are generated by AI. You're going to open your TikTok ad, you're going to go read news online, and you're going to read an email, and it's going to be one tool that's doing automatic email reply like, hey, hope you had a nice day, blah, blah, blah. Let's delve or dive into this with M dashes. You're going to open anything you open will be AI generated. So it's going to be really intense. You're going to go on dating apps. It's going to be one robot talking to another robot and like, here's my Calendly link. So it's the proliferation of AI slop everywhere. So that's my
What's
prediction. And
for
of
you, just
course,
maybe
we hope to
even
play a role in there.
yeah, of course. Yeah. And you guys are creating something that is going to have longevity because people are always going to want to know because they can't tell. A human can't often tell. Uh, Maybe just as you personally, or maybe even as a team, what is one maybe slightly unknown AI tool or strategy or flow that you cannot live without? If you had to get rid of all other AI tools, and outside of Winston, what's one thing that you can't live without at your current spot in your entrepreneurial journey? That's a whole mouthful right there. But what's one tool that's most critical to you?
I'm gonna be super boring. I experiment with so many tools, and sometimes I wonder, Jordan, how all of these businesses, like most AI businesses that I see, are wrappers around an LLM. So and I think these are very good businesses, by the way. I'm not knocking. Usually, they've really improve the way that the LLM provides an output. So I'm not hating like most people are hating on these types of businesses. I don't. It's risky, but I think these usually make interesting businesses that could be spun up quickly and that that serves people well. But I go directly to the source. Like, we were talking about being efficient earlier with teams and whatnot. If I need to, I was helping my mom remodel her, her bathroom and whatnot. I went to ChatGPT. So to answer your
Yes.
question, another boring answer from me, just I can't live without ChatGPT. My team uses it. We use other LLMs, and for of course, they use Cursor and whatnot. But for me, I don't. I'm not a coder. I use ChatGPT. I think it's excellent, and when I need something funky, I still can prompt ChatGPT to do it. I still answer my own emails, every single one of them.
Yeah, that's right. I can never let AI just take over those conversations. But last night it was funny. I'm not particularly handy. I'm probably like 10% handy, as much as like a normal man should be. But I literally took a picture of my water heater and put it up and said, "Hey, give me the exact steps to drain this because I haven't done it." You're supposed to do that every year apparently, and I didn't do it. So I took a picture. It looked up the exact model number, and within 5 seconds gave me the exact step-by-step guide to like for this particular model how to drain it and to do it safely. And it's like anything in your life can just get better with ChatGPT, and just to take pictures of things or to describe it or use voice notes. And so even fitness trackers and things, like I've just built my own ecosystem in there, and it's like I never thought 10 years ago that we would be at this
Exactly.
point right now, which is just shocking.
So there's a lot of really good rappers, and that's right. But ChatGPT could tell you how many calories you have. They're integrating vision and like plugins and whatnot. It's all there when you think about it. So to your audience who's building new businesses, just to be mindful about that. There's a lot of businesses that are always at risk of being steamrolled. And I'm sure, anyone who has an AI SaaS tool built around ChatGPT is probably watching when there's an update on a live update. I forget what their keynote updates are called at OpenAI, but they're probably watching with a lot of attention, praying that they're not going to get steamrolled by ChatGPT just integrating that new feature in their stack, basically. And they are doing that more and more. So yeah, ChatGPT is definitely a steamroller for a lot of those businesses. So I think it's important to think about that when you're building an AI SaaS.
Well, I want to give a huge shout out and a massive recommendation for everyone watching this right now. We're going to put some links in the show notes for you guys to go check out Winston, an incredible tool. So specifically, if you are in education, maybe you're a teacher or a student, you are even an online marketer and you're trying to get SEO up and running and you don't want to get penalized for AI content, or even checking through some of your funnels for various pieces of copy, or you're a writer, could not recommend Winston more. It is becoming certainly the de facto solution for AI detection, which again, even us as marketers, we need to be aware of those things and see like how our search engine is going to be changing and affecting our outputs based on whether or not they can AI detect. So using a tool like Winston is going to be so critical. Another tool in your tool belt to kind of be the opposite of what ChatGPT is doing. So that's going to give you the output, but you want to ensure that at least as best possible that you are seeing some human output as well. So John, if you would just give a plug for Winston. What else did I miss? What is the big reason why someone today should jump in and go give it a shot?
Thanks, Jordan. Well, there's so many reasons why you need to check out your content with an AI detector. Of course, a lot of people say AI content is not penalized by Google. I strongly disagree with that. I've been doing SEO for a long time, and Google has every single incentive possible to favor human content. So just think about it. That's their biggest advantage over these LLMs, is that they're able to push forward human generated content and website. So they do penalize it from my observation, even though there's a few studies that say the contrary. But the best SEOs will definitely tell you that it punishes AI content. So our URL is gowinston.ai. There's a free trial, so you could try it. And of course, our accuracy rate is the best in the industry, even though it's not perfect. And yeah, Jordan, thanks a lot for having me.
I'm so pleased and honored to be to know you and to work with you. Huge congrats on your guys' success and continued growth, which I think is an output of working hard to make an absolutely pristine product. And I think you guys have done that in a big way. And so huge congrats to you guys. Thanks everyone for tuning into this episode of Retention Effect. There's going to be a bunch of notes down below to help you to find out more about Winston. Go to gowinston.ai to grab a free trial, jump in for any of these use cases and take your AI to the next level. Thanks for jumping into this episode. We'll see you guys next time. Nice.